I'm Eddie Klein. I'm the training director of the Records Management Training Program, and Michelle is a supervisor with the training program. We're going to cover just overview some programs we have, some products we offer, along with the major changes we went through recently with our material. Michelle?
All right, thank you, Eddie. Thank you, everyone. As Eddie said, we are going to be talking about our training program today. So as you can see on the screen, we're going to be talking about our major products, the Agency Records Officer Credential, and our REMIS program, along with our web catalog, social media, and microlearning. So some of these terms may be a little bit new to you all, because as Eddie said, in the last year, we've really done a major overhaul of not only our curriculum, but how we deliver that curriculum. So that's what we'd like to talk to you about today, and introduce you to some of these new products. So I'm going to start today with our AROC, the Agency Records Officer Credentials. So as you know, in the past, NARA has had a really robust records management training program. And at the center of that was always our 9-day in-person Certificate of Federal Records Management. Some of you may have this certificate and been in some of our classes. We held them at our facilities at College Park and Archives One, which is downtown Washington, D.C. But we also traveled to federal facilities across the nation to deliver this training in person. Well, as of January of this year, our training has changed significantly. So all of our training has moved 100% virtual, and it is now free, which is another major change for us. Along with that, I should note that the training is now focused specifically for agency records officers. And a lot of people wonder, well, you know, am I an agency records officer? Like, where do I fit in this? Do I qualify for this training? Well, if you'd like to really find out who is qualified for this training, who can get this training, if you go to our agency records officer list, and the address is there at the bottom of the screen, archives.gov/records-management/agency. That's a comprehensive list of all the agency records officers throughout the federal government. So a good way to know about whether you can take our AROC classes is first look at that list. If your name's on that list, you need to contact us, right? And talk about the AROC. So let me just briefly go over what this is. This is a replacement for the Certificate of Federal Records Management. One of the big changes to this is there's now going to be a renewal with this certificate. So every 3 years, you will be pinged by our training program to go through a renewal process. So this change, this new credential was launched in January of 2020, just in time for COVID. I'm really excited about that. It's been challenging to launch this new curriculum during COVID. However, it's also given people an opportunity to do the training who might not have had the time to be able to do it. It is 3 levels, which is something else that's a bit of a change from that old federal Certificate of Federal Records Management. Before, it was a 9-day in-person sort of one-size-fits-all, right? If you were a records custodian, or you were the agency records officer, or you were the senior agency official for records management, didn't matter, one-size-fits-all, you go to the 9-day class. This is more of a tiered approach with content that is aimed at different levels. So it starts out at level 1 with the basics: what's a record, what's a file plan, what's a record schedule, and then it moves up to level 3, where eventually you're talking about how to run a records management program, how to create guidance, and those sort of things. So for anybody that is interested in learning more about it, I have some contact information at the end of the presentation. So feel free to reach out to us. So this is the replacement for the Certificate of Federal Records Management. And as I said, it is only being offered to agency records officers. So the question that we normally get is, okay, that's great if you're a agency records officer, but what about the rest of us? How can we access NARA training? Well, we have several other programs in place to help you. So the first that I have to say, Eddie and I are really proud of is the REMIS program, Records Management Instruction Support. And this program is exactly what the name says. It's support for people who are records management trainers or conducting the training. We started this in October of 2019. And so far to date, we've helped 57 agencies. And just as it says on the screen, assistance with instructional support and records management training. So how this works is if you have a need for support with your records management training, you can email us at rmt1@nara.gov. And someone from our records management team will get back to you. And there's usually an intake session where they'll do a video chat just like we're doing now and talk about what you need, what services maybe NARA could offer, and then a plan is put into place to assist you. The most frequent request that we get is actually for something we're calling RM Fundamentals. And it is an asynchronous course, which means it's not instructor-led. It's something that you can run internally on your websites or your learning management system. And it's Records Management 101. It's the basics. It's what's a record? What's a record schedule? What's a file plan? How do you do an inventory? All of those kind of basic level things. And the great part about this course is that to an extent, we can customize it for your agency. And I've got a slide the next slide will give you an example of that. That has been by far and away our most frequently asked for product. But there are other things that we can offer, including instructional support. So if you're conducting your own face-to-face training or your training department is creating training, we can assist with that and offer you some advice. There's a range of things that we can offer, including source files for our own content. And you'll see here that we're working on a web repository, and that's exactly what it means. We have a website on archives.gov that I'm going to show you here in a few moments that actually has, I think right now, over 60 individual lessons that are able to be launched from our website. Well, what this web repository will do will have a downloadable column right next to it so that you'll be able to either launch the lesson from the website or download it and use it on your own internal sites, your own internal LMS, your own internal website, what have you. So I'm going to explain that in a little bit. But this web repository has basically come from our own success, right? So many people have been asking us for the source files to a lot of our training that it was a little bit too much for the REMIS staff to handle. So we thought, well, if we put up a web repository, then it's sort of self-service. You can go right to archives.gov, download the files yourself. So I'll get to be showing that in a minute. But this, in a nutshell, is our REMIS program. So I would encourage you, if you have questions, you want to know more about it, or you think maybe REMIS might be able to help you, please email rmt1@nara.gov and we'll start the process rolling. So REMIS is probably, after the AROC, one of our most successful programs. And again, it came from our staff, from the staff's questions about, well, what's going to happen if people aren't in our training classes? What do we have to offer them? So there is Remiss. And out of Remiss, as I said, comes RM Fundamentals. And so here's a screenshot of what one of those courses looks like. And so this is one that we did for USDA, one of the first agencies to contact us. And here's just a screenshot. So it's interactive. You interact by the side. Here on the left-hand side, you can see, what is records management, roles and responsibilities, what are records, non-record material, and personal papers, the records life cycle. So you can go through these, and then at the end, there's a bit of a knowledge check, and then a certificate that will offer like a certificate of completion. And we can customize these. Obviously, you can't, change everything entirely, but we can customize it for your agency with graphics, titles, like we did here for USDA. So that is a possibility with Remiss and with RM Fundamentals. Okay, so let me go to the web catalog, because this is something else that really dovetails with Remiss that we're really excited about. So that repository that we talked about, this is what we're talking about. It's adding it onto our web catalog. So right now, if you're to go to our website, archives.gov/records management, this URL right here at the bottom, you're going to see a list of lessons, and I have a screenshot here in a few moments that I'll be able to show you. You're going to see a list of lessons, and anyone can access these. And as a matter of fact, it'd probably be easier if I just move to that screen right now and I can show you what I'm talking about. So here's a screenshot from that website at archives.gov. So these are the lessons that I'm talking about. So they're broken down by role. So here's an example of some of the lessons for records custodians. And as you can see, the blue hyperlinks here, you can run these e-lessons right from archives.gov. So if you have someone that's in need of training at your agency or at your company, and you'd like them to take this training, if they have a URL connection, they can get to the web, they can access these. And a question we often get, can you access them on a mobile device or a laptop or a tablet? Yes, you can. They are compatible with mobile devices. So you can just have your staff train right from here. So as I spoke of before, one of the big questions we get through our Remiss program is, wow, we really like these different modules that you have here. Could we get the source file to run it on our own system? So that's what we're doing for you. Is this summer we're working with the NARA IT shop, and we're actually going to add an additional column to this page. So that right next to where it says title and you have all the hyperlinked lessons, you'll just have another column there that'll allow you to download the different source files, the SCORM packages, etc., so that your IT shop, your training shop can download them and load them right onto your systems. One of the other things that Remiss does will often make suggestions on packaging some of these materials together. If someone comes to them and says, we really would like to put a package together on all the basics. We looked at all your stuff on the web and we would like a package that talks about records life cycle, a file plan, and a record schedule. Well, our Remiss program can put those packages together for you and send them out. Right now, that takes a little bit of time. So once we get this repository open, it's just going to be self-service, which will be awesome. So right now, the other thing I want to mention is that we talked about how the AROC is essentially only open for agency records officers. Well, sort of the other side to the story is that we have taken all the lessons that are in our agency records officer credential and put them up on our web catalog. So if you go to this website, you're going to see 60 odd lessons here. Every single one of those are taken directly from the AROC. So essentially, if you wanted staff to have the same information as the agency records officer, and they were to complete every single lesson on our website, it would be the same thing. The only difference is that NARA is actually tracking and keeping records on the credential for the agency records officer, and that's the only difference. So again, if you have any questions about that, email the rmt1@nara.gov inbox, and we'll be happy to walk you through it. So another piece to this puzzle is social media, because we found that in our face-to-face classes, there was sort of a community of practice that got built up, especially for groups of people that went through the whole 9 days together, right? They were a cohort that stuck together. A lot of them exchanged email addresses and phone numbers, and they stayed in touch with each other, were able to bounce questions off each other. So we thought we would like to sort of recreate that as best we could in a social media sphere. So that's sort of where the social media project came from. I do want to say it is very different than NARA's outreach program. It has a different goal. This goal is specifically to create that community of practice for the RM community. Phase 1 is ready and launched. And you can reach us on Facebook. And so it's at NARA RMT, NARA Records Management Training. So I encourage everybody to go out there and like us and follow us. So that was phase 1. We post 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And we are everything records management training. So lots of times we'll have links to specific training. We'll have job aids, we'll have classroom tips, we'll have online instruction tips. So please, find us, interact with us on Facebook, and take a look at the information and the training that we're putting out there, and also consider that a place to really interact with your fellow RM staff and RM training staff, right? To share ideas, share tips, and become that community of practice. Hopefully, towards the end of the summer and the fall, we'll begin the next phases of this, which is to expand out on some other social media platforms like LinkedIn and like Instagram. So stay tuned for more about that. And of course, we'll be updating Facebook with any sort of expansion plans that we have. Okay, and then as another product, we have ventured into a new type of training platform, and that's microlearning. And this is something relatively new for the NARA training program. And these micro-learning units are short, concise mini lessons on a very specific topic. And the audience is a little bit different than everything that's on our website that's more geared towards records management professionals. This product is more geared towards federal employees and the general public. It is, again, short mini bites on a very concise and narrow topic. So the 3 that we have at the 99% completion rate will be launched a little bit later this summer are the first 3 are on personal email accounts, email retention, and social media. And then we will be going back to the drawing board and getting feedback from those and applying what we've learned, lessons learned, and then developing some new lessons. So once those launch on our website, we'd encourage any feedback that you have to rmt1@nara.gov, and we're excited for you to see our new micro learning products and tell us what you think. So this is where we're at. Those are our new products, our new way of doing business. We've made a huge change in the last year. We've really revamped not just our curriculum and the content, but we've revamped how we deliver it. And we hope that we're able to bring this records management training to more people by being virtual. And especially now with the times that we're living in, this is more important than ever. So here on our final slide, you'll see our contact information. So there's Eddie, our new program director, and there's my information. You can go to the website that I mentioned that will have our online catalog and links to Remiss, and hopefully our new web repository, cross your fingers, in a little bit. And also rmt1@nara.gov is our general email box. And that's also where you would write to us if you have a Remiss request. So that's the information I have to share. So now I'm gonna kick it back to Eddie and Troy, I believe. So maybe we can take some questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. And again, sign of a good presentation is you answered a lot of questions after people asked them, but there are a few
Okay.
I want to make sure to tee up here. And this question, first of all, for those on who are watching, just a reminder that we will make these slides available. That question came up over and over again as people are looking for the links. We will absolutely share this so that if you didn't grab it in real time, you can easily find all of this. But the cost of training came up. Now, you mentioned making at least one of the sessions free. Are any of these still a pay to attend course, or is all of it free to those who are eligible to take it?
All right. Yes, Troy. Everything is free online. We are not doing like in classroom or brick and mortar training, but anything online is free to use, right? They say the best ability is availability, and this material is available as long as you have a computer and internet access. You can use it anytime.
And is there is it restricted just to federal employees? I know a previous training course that we discussed earlier, you had to have a CAT card to be part of DoD. Is if there are state and local officials who want to learn more about records management best practices, or just a non-government person who's curious, is it accessible to them, or is this for federal employees only?
Well, Eddie, I think I'll jump in on this one because
Right.
I just answered an email about this morning. Yes, it is open to anyone. Anyone who can access our URL can take this training. So it's private sector, it is state, local governments. Anyone who can access it can take our training.
Excellent. Well, with that answer, you knocked out like 4 follow-up questions. So, but then the final question that I would pose is for those who are looking to get started, who are not sort of records management professionals, but are looking for that basic RM 101. Where would you suggest they start?
You want to take this one, Eddie, or you want me to take it?
Go ahead. I was just going to say you start with our online lessons and the tier 1, the basic one, like what's a record schedule and all that. That's where to start. Or if you have a question, just email RMT1 and we'll break it down for anyone.
Absolutely. Eddie just said what I was going to say. Absolutely. Start at level 1, and you can always email us, and we'll be happy to help. And also, I should mention some of the agencies that we've created the RM fundamentals course for, like USDA, have allowed us to put it up on our website as an example. So I think there's about 4 or 5 examples up there. So you might want to start there too.
Okay, great. Yeah. Well, I think we covered all the questions that came in, because freely available to everyone covers most of the concerns. But thank you for being patient as we were running a little bit behind, and for giving such a great presentation to wrap things up today.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you, Troy.